I heard a loud sound in the night. The door closed hard. I jumped from the chair. I waited for his voice, but he said nothing. I heard his shoes on the floor. They came closer. I looked at the clock. It was past midnight. He walked into the room. His face was cold. He did not look at me. He went to the table and threw his keys down. I said, "You are late." My voice was soft. He did not answer me. He only opened his phone. The light from the screen showed his tired face. I wanted to ask more, but I stayed quiet. Please, my dear friend, before I go on with my story, remember to subscribe, share, and comment below. Your support helps me bring more real and emotional English stories. It means so much to me. He went to the bedroom. I sat in the living room alone. My hands were cold. I listened to the silence of the house. It was heavy. I felt fear. I felt like I was waiting for a storm. I wanted to follow him. I wanted to ask, "Where were you?" But I was scared. I was scared of his answer. When we first married, things were not like this. He used to laugh. He used to hold my hand. He used to bring me flowers. Now he did not smile. He did not laugh. He did not touch my hand. He was far from me, even when he sat close. The next morning, I woke up and made tea. He sat at the table. I asked, "Will you eat?" He said, "No." He drank tea and looked at his phone. He put on his coat and left. I watched him from the window. He walked fast, like he was running away from me. I cleaned the cups. I cleaned the table. My eyes were wet. I wanted to cry, but I held my tears. I asked myself, why is he like this? Did I do wrong? Did I say something bad? I could not find the answer. Later that day, I went to the market. I saw women laughing with their husbands. They walked together carrying food. I felt alone. I wanted that life. I wanted to be happy with him, but I felt I was only a shadow in his life now. That night he came home late again. His shirt smelled of perfume. It was not mine. My hands shook. My heart felt heavy. I said, "Where were you?" He looked at me with cold eyes and said, "Do not ask." Then he turned away. He went to bed. I sat on the sofa. The light was dim. The room was quiet. I cried into my hands. My tears dropped on the floor. I wanted to scream, but no sound came. The next days were the same. He came home late. He did not talk to me. He ate alone, or not at all. He looked at his phone all the time. Sometimes he smiled at the screen. He never smiled at me. I started to think maybe there was another woman, but I was too afraid to ask. If I asked, maybe he would leave me. If he left me, what would people say? Where would I go? I had no plan. I had no one to help me. One evening I made his favorite food. I wanted to see if he cared. I put the plates on the table. I waited for him with hope. When he came home, I said, "I cooked for you." He looked at the table and frowned. "Why did you make this?" "I am not hungry." He walked past me. He closed the bedroom door. I stood at the table alone. My food was still hot. My tears fell into the soup. I ate a little. Each bite felt hard. I thought, am I his wife? Or am I just someone in this house? I felt like I was nothing to him. The nights grew long. I lay in bed, but I could not sleep. He turned his back to me. I turned my face to the wall. My pillow was wet from my tears. The bed was big, but I felt small and alone. One day, his phone rang. He left it on the table. I saw the screen. A name appeared. It was a woman's name. The words on the screen said, "I miss you." My hands went cold. My body felt weak. I put the phone back. I did not want him to see me look at it. That night, I did not ask him about the message. I wanted to shout. I wanted to say, "Who is she?" But I stayed quiet. I was too afraid. I felt like a bird with broken wings. The next morning, I looked in the mirror. My face was pale. My eyes were red. I did not know the woman in the glass. I said to myself, "This is not me. I was once happy. Now I am only sad." At work, people asked me, "Are you okay?" I smiled and said, "Yes, I am fine." But it was a lie. Inside, I was broken. Inside, I was empty. One Sunday, he stayed home. He did not talk to me. He stayed in the bedroom with the door closed. I sat in the living room and listened to the quiet. The house felt like a prison. I asked myself, can I escape my marriage? Can I find freedom? That question did not leave me. Every day I thought about it. Every night I dreamed about freedom. But fear held me. Fear of being alone. Fear of starting again. Fear of people asking questions. Still, in my heart, I felt a small fire. It was weak, but it was there. It whispered, "You deserve more. You deserve love." I wanted to believe that voice, but I was not ready yet. I was still inside the cage. I was still living in the dark. The next week was heavy. Each day felt long. I went to work, but my mind was not there. I counted hours until evening. I went home, but the house did not feel like home. It was only walls, not love. He came home late almost every night. Sometimes he did not come home at all. He said, "Work is busy." I wanted to believe, but I knew the truth. I saw the message on his phone. I felt in my heart that another woman was there. One night I waited for him at the table. The food was ready. The candles were lit. I wanted him to sit with me. I wanted him to see my pain. He opened the door after midnight. He looked tired, but not from work. He smelled of perfume. His hair was neat. His eyes did not look guilty. He did not even look at me. I said, "I waited for you." My voice was weak. He looked at me and said, "Stop waiting. Stop asking questions." His voice was sharp. My hands shook. He walked to the bedroom. The door closed hard. I sat at the table. The food was cold. My heart was heavy. The next morning I asked him, "Do you love me?" He looked at me with cold eyes. He said, "Do not start again." He took his phone and left the house. I stood by the door and cried. His words were like knives. I wanted to tell someone, but who could I tell? My family would ask, "Why did you marry him? Why do you stay?" My friends would say, "Leave him." But I was not ready. I felt weak. I was scared of a new life. I started to write in a book. Every night I wrote my pain. I wrote, "Today he did not speak. Today he did not come home. Today he did not look at me." The book filled with my tears. The words were heavy, but they were true. One Friday, he left early. He said, "I will be late tonight." I said nothing. I only watched him leave. Hours passed. I sat in the living room. The house was quiet. My phone was silent. He did not call. He did not send a message. At midnight, I heard a car stop outside. I looked through the window. I saw him with a woman. They laughed. She touched his arm. He smiled at her. He never smiled at me like that now. My breath stopped. My hands shook. I moved away from the window. I did not want him to see me. He came inside. He saw me sitting on the sofa. He looked at me and said, "Why are you awake?" I wanted to scream. I wanted to say, "I saw you," but I stayed silent. He went to the bedroom. He did not even hide his face. I walked to the bathroom. I closed the door. I looked at the mirror. My face was pale. My eyes were red. I said to myself, "This is not life. This is pain." The next day, I cooked nothing. I did not wait for him. I sat in the dark room and thought. I asked myself, can I escape my marriage? Can I be free? The voice inside me grew stronger. It said, "Yes, you can. You are stronger than you think." But fear was still there. Fear of people. Fear of questions. Fear of nights alone. I asked myself, what if I leave and regret it? What if I stay and die inside? The questions did not stop. One evening, he came home late again. He looked at me and said, "Why are you still here?" His voice was sharp. His eyes were cold. I said, "This is my house too." He laughed. "You are weak," he said. Then he turned away. His words cut deep. I sat on the floor. My tears fell fast. I asked myself, am I weak? Or am I strong? The next morning, I walked outside. The sun was bright. The air was fresh. I had not felt this air for long. I walked to the park. I sat on a bench. I watched children play. I saw women smile with their children. I thought, they are free. They are happy. Why can't I be like them? An old woman sat next to me. She looked at me and said, "You look sad." I smiled a little, but my eyes were wet. She said, "Life is short. Do not waste it in pain." Her words touched me. They stayed with me. That night I did not cry. I thought of her words. Life is short. I looked at my hands. They were strong. They could build a new life. My heart was weak, but maybe it could heal. The next day, I opened my book. I read my old words. Each page was pain. Each word was sadness. I turned to a new page. I wrote, "I will not stay in pain forever. I will find a way out. My tears fell, but they were different. They were not only of pain, they were also of hope. When he came home that night, he looked at me. I did not look away. He asked, "What are you looking at?" I said, "I am looking at my life." He laughed. He did not understand, but I knew. I knew I was close to a choice. He still came home late. He still sent messages to her. But I was not the same. I started to plan in my mind. I thought, if I leave, where will I go? What will I need? The fear was still there, but the fire in me was stronger now. I told myself, I am not weak. I am not only his wife. I am me. I started to believe those words. Each day I repeated them. Each night I whispered them before I slept. Still, I did not tell him. I did not want him to know. I was not ready. I wanted to be strong first. I wanted to be ready for the day I would walk away. The days passed, and each day felt the same. He came home late. He said no words. He sat with his phone. He turned his back to me. I cooked less food. I smiled less. I was not the same woman I was before, but inside me, a new voice grew louder. It said, "You cannot live like this. You cannot die in silence. You must choose." That voice made me think every night. I looked at the ceiling in the dark and whispered, "Can I escape my marriage?" One night, I sat with my book. I opened the pages. I read my old words. Pain was in every line. My hand shook as I wrote a new line. I wrote, "I will not stay here. I will not be his shadow. I will leave." When I wrote it, I felt both fear and power. The next morning, I looked at him as he put on his coat. He did not smile at me. He only took his phone and keys. Before he left, I said, "Do you love me?" He did not even stop to look at me. He said, "Do not start." Then he closed the door. I stood there for a long time. My hands were cold. My heart was heavy. But his words gave me the final answer. He did not love me. He did not even care to lie. I was nothing to him. I sat at the table. The sun came through the window. The room was quiet. I whispered, "I must leave." My eyes filled with tears. But this time, the tears were not only pain, they were also a new start. The next week, I saved small coins from my work. I hid them in a box. It was not much, but it was mine. I started to look for a small place. I wanted a room with light. I wanted a door that I could lock. I wanted peace. At night, I still slept in the same bed. He still came home late. He still smelled of perfume. He still sent messages to her. But now I was different. I was not only sad, I was ready. One Saturday morning, I walked to the park again. The air was fresh. The trees moved in the wind. I sat on the bench. The same old woman walked by. She saw me and smiled. She said, "You look stronger now." I said, "I want to change my life." She held my hand and said, "Then do it. Do not wait for tomorrow. Do it today." Her words stayed in my heart. They were simple, but they were true. I went home with new power. That evening he came back late. He looked at me and asked, "Why are you still awake?" I said, "Because I do not want this life anymore." His face changed. He laughed. "You cannot go," he said. "You are weak. You need me." But this time, I did not cry. I said, "I am not weak. I do not need you." His smile was gone. He looked angry, but I was calm. I turned my face away and said no more. The next morning, I packed a small bag. I put my clothes inside. I put my book inside. I put my small box of coins inside. My hands shook, but I kept packing. He was still asleep. I looked at him one last time. He looked peaceful in sleep, but I knew the truth. He was not my peace. He was my pain. I walked to the door. My heart beat fast. My legs felt heavy, but I opened the door. I stepped out. The sun touched my face. I closed the door behind me. My tears came, but they were different. They were not tears of fear. They were tears of freedom. I walked down the street with my bag. Each step felt strange, but each step felt strong. I did not know where I would sleep that night. I did not know what people would say, but I knew one thing. I was free from him. I went to a small room near the market. A kind woman owned the place. She said, "It is not big, but it is safe." I smiled and said, "Safe is enough." I gave her my coins. She gave me a key. I held that key in my hand. It was small, but it was power. That night I sat on the bed in my new room. The walls were plain. The air was quiet. But I felt peace. I opened my book. I wrote, "Today I left. Today I am free. Today I start again." My tears fell, but they were soft. The next morning I walked to the market. I looked for small work. I found a shop that needed help. The owner said, "Can you work long hours?" I said, "Yes, I can." He gave me a chance. My hands worked, my feet moved, my back hurt, but my heart felt light. I was working for me now, not for him. Days turned into weeks. I lived in my small room. I worked in the shop. I cooked simple food. I walked in the park. I wrote in my book. I was alone, but I was not empty. I was learning to live again. One evening, as I sat on my bed, I thought of him. I asked myself, do I miss him? The answer came fast. No. I did not miss his silence. I did not miss his cold eyes. I did not miss his late nights. I did not miss his lies. I only missed the dream I once had. But the dream was gone. Now, I had a new dream. My new dream was simple. I wanted peace. I wanted respect. I wanted love that was true. If it came one day, I would take it. But if it did not, I would still be fine. Because I had myself. One Sunday, I saw the old woman again in the park. She smiled and said, "You look different." I said, "I left my husband." Her eyes were soft. She said, "I am proud of you." My eyes filled with tears. I said, "Thank you. Your words gave me courage." She held my hand and said, "Never forget. Life is short. Do not waste it in pain." I went home and looked at my book. I read the first pages. They were full of pain. I read the middle pages. They were full of fear. Then I turned to the last pages. They were full of hope. I smiled through my tears. My story was not over. It was only starting. The next weeks were not easy. Money was small. Work was hard. Some nights I felt lonely. Some days I felt tired. But when I thought of the house I left, I knew I made the right choice. I knew I chose life. One night, I walked by the street where we once lived. I looked at the house. The window was dark. The door was closed. I did not go inside. I only looked for a short time. Then I turned away. That house was no longer mine. That life was no longer mine. I walked back to my room. I opened the door with my small key. I smiled. This was my place now. It was small, but it was mine. I sat on the bed and whispered, "I am free. I am alive." I closed my eyes and slept in peace. For the first time in many years, I slept without fear. I slept without waiting for a door to close hard. I slept without waiting for a voice that did not care. I slept with hope. In the morning, I looked at the sun through my window. It was bright. It was warm. I said to myself, I escaped. I am free. I can live again. And this is my story. It is the story of pain. It is the story of fear. But it is also the story of hope. If you are in pain, if you feel weak, know this. You can be strong. You can leave. You can live again.